Hello, I'm Gustavo Caricone, the founder of StartupSpace.io, a startup accelerator program for multi-sided platform. And this is part two of my interview with Geoffrey Parker, the author of the book Platform Revolution. I invite you to watch part one if you haven't done so. Otherwise, please enjoy the second part of the interview. Thank you. So many people think that startups, the founders, the team building a multi-sided platform or a marketplace should be working hard to try to incorporate the best features ever on the platform. But that's actually a misunderstanding. That's actually a fallacy. If you are building a digital platform or a multi-sided platform, you're not in the business of adding extra features all the time. You're actually in the business of facilitating interactions. Interactions are so important for platforms, and actually they're the core of the value generation of the platform. Having said that, what is Jeff? The things that the startups they can do, especially if they're working towards building a multi-sided platform to facilitate and increase the number of interactions?
I think so. First of all, I'd say being clear about what the value proposition is. But I say that, and also being willing to shift and adapt. Say, well, this wasn't really working, but that is, and that's sort of that lean startup philosophy. But if you think about the platforms, because you're facilitating interactions between different types of users, it's all about the frequency, how often does that happen, the success rate, and the value add that's created in creating those interactions. And so if you start worrying about features and you say, well, now I have 7 things that it does instead of 6, you sort of shrug and you go, well, as long as those features and that technology are specifically helping you to have more better transactions, so to more transactions and of higher quality. So if the features and the additions and the engineering isn't supporting that, then they're not supporting the core value proposition of the platform. And so that's why we give counsel that says focus on making sure that the interaction quality is high and the interaction frequency is high. And as long as your engineering efforts and your features are supporting that, you're going in the right direction. And if they're not, you have a bit of a problem.
Can you give us a few examples of platforms that have done that, that have designed very strategic features, and by doing that, they were able to increase and improve the number of interactions?
Well, if you think about enterprise software systems, and so I have a lot of good friends who work at SAP. So that's the big enterprise resource planning system. They're wired into industry across the world, but they face competition from Salesforce. And so SAP has this incredibly configurable system, but it has a tremendous amount of engineering complexity. And so that created room for a lighter weight competitor to come into the market where they didn't have all of the configurability, but on the other hand, it was easier to onboard. Much of it was free to try out and start, and then that allowed you to start to create interactions, and then you monetize them over time as people grow into the system. And again, I have friends at both firms, so I'm not advocating one or the other. I'm just trying to say, the SAP system is older, and so it was much more with an engineering focus, and because of that complexity was there, I think that created room for lighter weight entrants to come into those markets.
Can a company have a mix model be at the same time a platform and also a pipeline business, such as SAP, Salesforce. They produce software and they sell to their clients, but at the same time, they also have a platform model incorporated on their business. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so good point. And part of it is kind of that decision of what you're going to provide yourself versus what you're going to have partners provide. And so, to the extent that the company is doing everything in house, they're a pipeline. They have to acquire technology or acquire information or acquire materials and then create a product or service and ship it. But if they open that system up and they allow for external parties to come and add value, then they're moving from being a pure pipeline into being more of an open platform. And you have hybrid models. So you'd have something like pure platform, which would be like an eBay or something, where there's nothing there except for a market. Um, Airbnb is largely that way. Uber is largely that way. And then you have intermediate forms like Apple or Samsung, where you've got sort of ecosystems that are built around products that the firm controls tightly. And then, of course, you have things like refineries and oil and gas exploration, paper manufacturing, sort of heavy industry has largely tended to be more of a pipeline play and not so much harness network effects and platforms.
That was the second part of my interview with Professor Geoffrey Parker. And on the next and final part, part three, we are going to discuss about launching strategy, how to successfully launch a multi-sided platform, the problem of the chicken or the egg. So I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel now and please watch the third and final part of my interview. Thanks.